Good luck with this
I
one.
got the big one?
Yeah.
All right.
This is the bomb, which says is beyond insanity, which I think fits you and I. Right? Welcome to Wings with Wayne, the show where sovereignty gets spicy. I'm your host, Wayne Ducheneaux, and I'd like to welcome Robert Larsen, president of the Lower Sioux Indian community. Robert, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and let's dig into that first wing, this is Zab's hot sauce.
All right. As you said, I am president at Lower Sioux. Originally, I was elected in 2013, so it's my third term. I also chair the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council. I'm a dad. Between my wife and I and our blended family, we've got 11 kids.
Oh, wow.
So besides this job, we're busy. And just came to have some delicious wings and have a good conversation.
Right on. That one's not bad. I got to ask you, are you a drummy guy or a flat guy?
I don't.
Don't discriminate, huh?
No, I don't.
So one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on is I think you and I share a similar journey where our families have been a part of government and governance for our people for a while. So I'm really curious, what was your inspiration to becoming a tribal leader? And let's try some of this. The Salsa Collaborative, Mojito. This is 3 out of 5 flames, so.
3 out of 5. Well, it really wasn't my decision. This isn't something I ever aspired to do or wanted to do or thought about. You know, growing up, this was what the old people did. You know, the councils were older, and through the jobs that I had, and ended up managing the local C-store by the casino for a couple of years. And with the members coming through, there was a couple of families that came in and said, "There's an election coming up, why don't you run?" I'm like, no, that's not me.
Yep.
I like to work. And they asked multiple times, and finally I just said, well, if you want to do that, I'll accept the nomination, but didn't figure anything would come of it. And lo and behold, been here since 2013. So this wasn't anything I ever wanted to do or paid attention to. It's just, if that's what the people want, that's what the people want.
That's maybe where you and I journey different. That's my every aspiration was to be a tribal leader, right? So my dad was a 2-time chairman, my grandpa a 4-time chairman. I know serving the people is the pinnacle of leadership, right? And it's about exactly that. It's when community recognizes you and gives you that honor and holds you up, I think it's something, there's no better feeling than that, right? And so.
Very true. It's just nothing that I saw myself as, even with our business. Dad came and talked, the folks came and talked to me and had an idea, try to save our tribe some money, so we started the bus company. It just wasn't an aspiration, but similar. I've got grandpa, grandma, aunts, uncles, my dad, all served on council. So it's not that I didn't know, I just didn't pay attention.
Yeah. Right on. I think one of the things as we dive into burn after eating, this next one gets warm. Although I don't like you're getting affected nearly as much as me.
Tastes good.
I don't know if you remember. I vividly remember my very first trip as executive director at Native Governance Center to go visit a tribal nation was Lower Sioux. And I came out, I had Jamie Pinkham with me at the time. We showed up at your government building. We sat down and talked with you and your council. And could tell early on that the group you were with understood the importance of governance, of good leadership, of setting your nation up for the future. And so I'm curious, what do you think is the most important thing when we're talking about governance in Native nations?
I can't speak for the council, but as far as I'm concerned, I would say that self-determination. It's the sovereignty that you're, I don't like to use the word protecting, that you're wielding, that you're using. So ensuring that we are continuing to use our sovereignty correctly to protect our people. We want to know we're doing things right. We do communicate with our community. We've had, I guess it's been a few years, and we've talked about doing it again, but we've got roundtable discussions, and we have meetings with our some elders groups, and just trying to get that communication back and forth. I think that's what's important, because it's not what I want to do while I'm in here. This is more of a responsibility. The biggest part is finding out what do they want or need, and we work our butts off to try to get that done. It's not the ones that are elected that should be dictating what's going on. We should know what our citizens want and need and just advocate for that. Being a small tribe, obviously lack of housing. We have less than 2,000 acres and we have more than 1,000 members. But we adopted a 10-mile service area, so as long as you live within that, then you share in the benefits of the tribe, the resources.
Yep.
And I think that's helped quite a bit. Even that, though, there's no housing around.
Yeah.
So that's one of our big pushes.
I don't think there is any other elected official in any capacity across the country that has to be as responsive to their constituency as a tribal leader, right? Because maybe a small town mayor, maybe, but I
don't think so.
I want to dial back as we try 7-pot scorn. Are you ready for this one? This is where it gets real warm.
What do we call?
7-pot scorn. So in thinking about exercising your sovereignty, one of the things that's been big in the news about Lower Sioux is you recently got a bunch of land returned from the state of Minnesota. And I think that is a seminal moment as we think about land return, specifically in Minnesota Makoche, where, you know, if the state government can do this, I know now there are municipalities talking about doing this. And so tell me about what do you think is next in that realm for not only Dakota people, but I mean the state in general.
That's a good one.
Right?
The state in general. There's been a handful of other opportunities that I've heard about in the last year, that there have been people, tribes that have come up and said, what about this and what about that? And they've been taking their work to it. Leech Lake is one. Yep. I believe that part of the forest is getting returned. I think that
something
was
like 13,000 acres. Yeah.
I can't even put that into perspective when we've got less than 2,000, but they're adding on that much more. It's great. I think it's way past due.
So do you think there's hope to sustain issues like land back as we move forward?
There is so much land that is held by organizations, state, private, whatever, that, I mean, you go back and look. If you actually look at the history, we were never paid. The whole southern, more than half of the state, or what's now Minnesota, was taken, which I just learned this recently.
With the college stuff, I bet. Yep.
With the Truth Project at the U, or through the U, over 36 universities got in that land grab and started their universities on that stolen land.
Yep.
So I always just refer to it as doing the right thing.
Yep. What? Something that is definitely indigenous, right, is, especially in our people, Lakota, Dakota, we have our values, right? They are wisdom, they are generosity, they are bravery, they are all those things. But when you boil them down, what is left is just being a good relative.
Right.
Right? It's a good relative to yourself. It's a good relative to your family, to the people around you.
Well, you look at even our way of life, okay? Like you said, those 7 teachings. It was a way of teaching us how we should strive to live. And then when the Europeans come over, they have all these laws. You can't do this or you're going to get punished. You can't do this or you're going to get punished. It's not what we're used to. And I think that's another big piece of why we've had so much historical problem with even the government itself, the laws.
Mm-hmm. All right, as we get ready to try the bomb, which says is beyond insanity, which I think fits you and I. I want to make sure this question gets to something else in your heart. So we talked about your passion for family, your passion for serving your tribe, but I noticed the vest. I know you a little bit. Tell us about your love of motorcycles.
All right. Well,
Oh, good.
even growing up, got to buy a couple little, little run around the yard dirt bikes.
I
And
licked my finger. That was a mistake.
always been the right feeling when you're on two wheels. It gives you time to just center. Because as loud as mine is, you can't hear your phone.
Yeah. Good luck with this
I
one.
got the big one?
Yeah.
All right.
This is the bomb.
Oh, yeah.
I think for me, I get that feeling on horseback. So I grew up on a cattle ranch, right? Riding horses my whole life. And there's nothing like throwing a leg over a good horse and just taking off and riding to do a job, right? And when all that stuff went through what's left of my hair.
Yeah, speaking of what's left, I mean, this is like just the wickedest comb over.
Right on.
That's a good one.
I wonder, to kind of bring everything back around, what's the biggest opportunity you all have?
I think our biggest opportunity right now is the hemp that we're getting into. We're going to be building houses out of hempcrete. The more I'm learning about it, it's a no-brainer. I mean, these homes get better over time instead of dilapidated and need to be fixed. So all those health benefits, the fire, the pest, the carbon sequestering, it's something that I'm looking forward to because we did get a grant through deed recently, $1.5 million towards it. We've been growing it for 3 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We've got bales, so we're just waiting to get that equipment set up and get them going.
Right on. And then last, to kind of wrap us up, what's your vision for the future of ORSU?
Vision for my vision? I would love it if we could make it so that each of our members doesn't need to come and ask for anything.
Well, President Larsen, thanks for joining us today. Thank you for sharing about what inspired you to become a leader. Thank you for sharing about why it's important to have good governance. Thank you for telling us what people don't understand and maybe can expect from tribal leaders. And also loved hearing about motorcycling. Like, I think that on the road is something that we could all take some time to use to reflect. So thank you very much for being with us today.
You bet. You got a lot of meat left on those.
I know. I'm going to cheat. Oh, thank you.
No, I appreciate it. This was delicious and hot. But no, I appreciate the conversation, Wayne.
Yeah.
I really do.
Thanks.